Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm your host, Marisa B. Today, I'd like to welcome retired Navy veteran with Army roots. Thank you for your service. Accomplished author, motivational speaker, virtual event host, and the creator and host of Resilience Beyond Menopause, a bi-monthly forum. Everyone, let's welcome Jackie Dickens Walker. Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hi, Marissa. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I want to ask you, first of all, how did you get involved in the healing arts? We see you've had a distinguished career in the service, but you're in the healing arts now for quite a while. How did that happen?
Well, you know that thing called menopause? I refer to it as I think it's a superpower now. But if I take things back a little bit further, if I may, uh, just to give a little recap of how I got here. In 1979, I was in high school, and at that time, women were not allowed to take shop, right? I really wanted to take shop. That fascinated me. I thought, and so I was a little disheartened by that. And then in 1980, it was time for me to retire, time for me to graduate, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. You know, my friends knew they were going to this college or that college, and or they were starting this job or that job. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And friends of mine, we went to a movie called Private Benjamin. And believe it or not, within a week or so, shortly around that time, an Army recruiter called my house, asked for me, and asked me if I wanted to join the Army. Now,
Oh,
here it
wow.
was, finally, right? Something I could see myself doing, they were going to allow me to do. And this was a total boys club, right? And I'm a girl. So I joined the Army, and I had 5.5 years, very successful in the Army. And then I got out of the Army, and I met the love of my life. And we married, and we started to build our family. We had 5 children rather quickly. And you know how life just kind of unfolds? Well, it did. And we as a family, we hit a few blows, some hard blows, and the relationship did not hold up. The communication was not good. And before I knew it, I was a single mom with 5 children. And
Big
as a
job.
single mom,
Big
yeah,
job.
yes, big job. And I wasn't working. I had been making babies. My youngest was 3. So I needed to do something. But I still remember the day I was sitting on the sofa and for hours. And I just kept having the same thought. I'm such a failure. How did I do this? How could I get to this point where I am now a single mom with 5 children? I failed my marriage. I don't want to fail my children. And after about 3 hours of just sitting there for so long, I actually had a like this fire within me that said, this story is not over. And because you are the mother of these 5 children, my children, I will raise them. I will get the support that I need. I'll get the help that I need, and I will figure this out. Now, this was a hard thing, but I knew within myself I had to do this. So I began to, go find out what kind of support there was, how I was going to manage this. To this day, I remember the hardest part was when all 5 children would come home from school and they would have multiple sheets of paper stapled and they would hand them to me, and they were school supplies that
Mhm.
all the children needed.
Yes.
And I had to find a way to get all their school supplies. They needed shoes every year. They were growing. We needed food. I was in a position where I had to cook, but I also had to bring in the bacon. This was tough. Time rolled on, life continued to unfold, and the next thing I knew, I was 40. Now, I was juggling 2 and 3 jobs, part-time jobs, because I have to be home too. I have to be there for the
Right.
children. But these jobs did not offer benefits. For the
Mhm.
majority of my time, I did
Mhm.
not have health insurance. The children had it through the state, and I definitely wasn't working on a pension. I'm 40 now. So 9/11 hit, And there was word that the Navy Reserve needed
Hmm.
uh, prior service to come back in and help fill in the ranks. And so I looked into that, and long story short, I went back in the Navy. Now, going back into the Navy at the age of 40 was
Yeah.
not an easy
Can't even
thing to
imagine. Can't even imagine at the age of 20, 18 or 20, let alone
do.
40. My gosh.
Right. Well, when I went in the Army, I was 18, and then
Right. But
back into the military in a whole different branch at
yeah.
40. So I had a little foundation, but through that, and I went back into the Navy, and I've since retired, as you did
Hmm.
as you announced in my introduction. And through that, I found this passion to help people
Hmm.
not just set goals, but set the path, move through the resistance, and really accomplish goals. So that's when I designed the program, but I also came up with Resilience Beyond Menopause,
Hmm.
the forum. So that's kind of that's the
Hmm.
story, and that's like the fire that's burning now inside that keeps me glowing
Because it really is
in this new
resilient. And it
online.
really is, you really need resilience, but there is a lot of resistance, right? We often have
Yes.
much resistance for anything that we want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime we take on a tough challenge
Yeah.
or a new change or set a goal that we know is going to be challenging,
Mhm.
there's going to be resistance. It's not a matter of if it comes, it's when
Mhm.
it comes.
Right.
And knowing that it's going to come, that's a big help. But also having a process in place to
Mhm.
work through that resistance, that will keep you moving along the path in the direction that you want
Mhm.
to go for that goal that you're trying to accomplish. So, yeah, that's
Oh,
what got me.
absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree with you. I also think, though, that community is important. Don't
Oh,
you?
absolutely.
Community, because without community, a person could be lost. Even
Yes,
if,
yes,
right, if they're learning tools, somebody is providing them with appropriate tools or methods to fight through this resistance, you still need a community support. I don't even know how you did it with
absolutely.
5 children on your own. I mean, I know you went into the service, but did you yourself have a community when you were going through this? Because I can't imagine not doing this. Well, I mean, I can't imagine doing this
I,
without a community.
I love that question because the minute you said that, I teach that as well in my program. But when I was raising my children, I was a part of a local church, and that community helped me so much. I the love and the support that I received from so many of the people in that church and in that community is what helped us go from one day to the next, one day to the next, just taking one step, one day at a time. Community is a powerful thing to be a part of. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, I I believe in it. I believe in it because I think that people feel so isolated and they feel like
Yes.
they're the only ones going through something, not really
Yes.
realizing because they are wrapped up in what they're going through. They're not realizing that many people go through similar things. And so I think that a community is one of the things that you have to look for,
Yes.
even in addition to finding someone that you're going to work with to help you with tools and techniques, but a community, which sometimes is difficult too. Some people are
Yes.
fearful to jump into a community. And so now you've been doing this and you're helping people. And I want to talk a little bit about your bi-monthly forum, because I personally know about it, the Resilience Beyond Menopause, which was, I actually attended one of the forums and I even spoke at one, and it was so powerful. So many people speaking with such powerful messages. Can you explain a little bit about that? How did that come to fruition?
Yes. I've known since I was very young that I would be a speaker. I knew I would speak before thousands. I didn't know what my message would be, and different times throughout my life, I said, "Oh, well, maybe this is it. Oh, well, maybe because this same like burn within has been with me. I'm 61, so we're getting really close, right? But so all throughout my life, it's like, oh, well, maybe this is it. So then I start doing these online workshops. And the workshops were good, but it wasn't, and I started being an eating coach, but it wasn't really, I wasn't feeling that fire. Like, this is really what I'm supposed to do. I believe in order to live your best life, you need to eat your best life, but that's not the
Yes.
main point.
No.
And once I took on the motivational speaker, I said, well, I
Mhm.
need a platform. I said, well, I know. I'll host an event and then I'll speak at my event, but I'll also allow other speakers who need to speak, right, in order to keep their speaking muscles growing and growing and growing. I'll invite them to come, we'll collaborate, and we'll build a community. And when I wanted to know, what will this event be called? I knew the age of women that I wanted was anywhere from 40 up. Just really because that's kind of where, when we hit menopause, our menopausal years, we're no longer making eggs. We're no longer creating all of that energy that goes into that monthly.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that energy to surface for other things. It's almost like our superpower, and we're still creator beings, right? We are women and we create. And so this just is a good marry of the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, Resilience Beyond Menopause, because that's exactly how I feel. I feel like in my menopausal years, I have this burst of resilience, and I know I'm not alone. So that's where I came up with Resilience Beyond Menopause. I will host this event, all things concerning menopause, because for too long it's been, shh, don't talk about menopause. Oh, she's just menopausal. Oh, that's so menopausal. It's been downplayed and used as insults. Menopause is our superpower. And when we really own that, and during that first forum, we're working on the second one now, but during the first one, so many of the messages said that a lot of that undercurrent, right? That underlining current, that menopause is really a special time of year. And we shouldn't fear it. And younger women, I know I did, I was afraid of menopause. But I want to assure younger women going into peri and before they get to thee, that it's not a time to fear. It is a time to embrace and really excel. What is it that you want? What's burning on the inside that you want to do in your life? This is the time to do it.
And I would think also obtaining information, because oftentimes we don't necessarily get the correct information or not enough of the information, or we feel like we're the only ones going through that. But with your forum, everybody hears, that they're not alone. And hey, that particular symptom, that's actually out there. I mean, I'm not crazy. It's actually something that other people are experiencing. I think that a lot of that goes on now with your forum. I mean, I think it's invaluable. I think I read somewhere that almost 2 billion women over the next 10 years will be in menopause. That's shocking.
Right? And I read when I was on a cruise with my mom right before the first event, and I found The Natural Menopause. It's a book. And do you know that there are over 100 symptoms for menopause? Over 100.
Yeah, no, I did not know that.
One of
and
them,
see, who would know, right?
All right. One of them in perimenopause is that we have all of a sudden allergies to things that we weren't allergic to before. Well, when I was in peri now, when I look back, I was having anaphylactic shock from things that I never. And they did all these tests for me to find out what I was allergic to. So we decided it must be Italian dressing. That's what we labeled it for a while.
Right. Wow.
I was in perimenopause, and I did not know that that's one of the symptoms. I know now. And
right. Yes. I would have never known. And who would even think of that? Like nobody would think of that unless they've heard that somewhere or read it somewhere. Yeah, that's true.
Right. And a friend of mine said the same thing. She's having these reactions to when she was gardening that she's always been in the garden. And I told her my story. She said, Jackie, this might be it. This might be the same thing. And I get that from so many women now when we're sharing these stories. So it's a community where, yes, we are sharing the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional parts of menopause, as well as, this is a whole new chapter. So the community that, like you said, the community that we're building is so diverse, but so informative in so many ways. It's really,
it's true. Special. So much information, so much knowledge that's out there that everybody is imparting on one another, which I find wonderful. I mean, after all, that's the best thing.
Absolutely. I was in New York helping my friend she does a foundation to help protect elephants in India and how they're being abused and misused.
I know, terrible.
Yeah. And so she wanted me to go with her to this event. She was going to be ringing the bell at NASDAQ last Friday. So I saddled up and went there to help
Mhm.
her. And when I was there, in the hotel room, I turned on The View real quick. I just happened to
Yes.
have a few minutes and I turned it on. And what do you think they were talking about? There were two women
Menopause.
there that were talking about
Yes.
menopause and how it's been so shush shush,
Hmm.
and that people are being more vocal now and talking and sharing, and
Hmm.
we're learning so much more about it than we used to know. And I said,
Yes.
wow, how
I mean, I think it's
special.
wonderful because I think that it was years ago, it was almost embarrassing. It was a whisper if it was happening,
Yes.
right? It was viewed as something that shouldn't be happening, which of course it's natural. It's natural. It's just a natural progression, but yet it was something that was looked at as being taboo. You couldn't discuss it. It was whispered in corners because you're really not supposed to say that that's what's happening to you. You don't want to admit it. But I do want to talk about two things. One thing I want to talk about is because you also coach people about food, and this is something that's like one of the legs of this. Besides menopause, I mean, you need it in your whole life, but this is really important, proper eating. I mean, can you just speak to that quickly to the audience, explain a little bit about that? Because I know that you are a severe advocate for eating healthy, appropriately, nutritiously.
I absolutely am. I believe in order for me to live my best life, I have to eat my best life. And nowadays, it's really dangerous because the food industry has been given free reign to put whatever in the food, and they are for profit. And you really got to read the labels, and you want to feed your body what it's going to need in order to come back stronger. Our standard American diet has led to standard American diseases: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. These are the top killers. Well, you know what
Yes.
ones are getting ready to take their place? Dementia and Alzheimer's. And you know what else? These are all five
Mhm.
directly related to food and the food that we're eating. And you would think with the technology burst in our country and how we're such an advanced country, why is it that we are suffering so when it comes
Mhm.
to our health? You got to stop and think about that. And you really want to pay attention to what you're eating, how
Mhm.
often you're eating, and how is your body communicating to you? Are you feeling good? Is your body saying, oh, that made us feel better?
Mhm.
Or are you feeling really bad? Because that's your body sending you a signal. Look, we need to do a conversation about what you're putting in here because I need better stuff to make you feel better. We're like an automobile. If
Right. It's
you
like
put
fuel.
that
Yeah, fuel.
fuel in this automobile, it's gonna clunk and
Oh,
have some problems.
yeah.
If you put good fuel in this automobile, we're gonna ride around
Mhm.
like we're a happy, happy camper. It's just like
It's
that. We are what we eat.
Oh, I agree with you, and I feel that it is also a conversation for during premenopause and menopause because there are times where some of the foods that you used to eat you can no longer eat, and more so now than before, you have to really read the labels and see what is and is not in there and how everything is really made, what more or less what chemicals are in there, because that really is danger.
It really is. And these sugar substitutes are really dangerous, and
Oh,
they're
yes.
very addictive. They will actually make you think you want something when your body doesn't want it. It's like if you can just flush that out, and it only takes 2 or 3 days, and you
Mhm.
can flush it out, and then really listen and hear what after you eat something, what message is being sent to your mind. Are you running off to get some more of it? That's an indicator something's in there. MSG, aspartame, whatever, those things will all make you run back for more. They're designed that way.
Mhm.
That's what the food industry wants, so we'll keep going back and buying more and buying more and buying more, but it's doing havoc on our health.
Yeah,
But
well, yes.
once you get over that first little hump, oh my gosh, it's
Mhm.
it's such a wonderful place to be in freedom from food
Yes.
addictions.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And healthy, feeling much healthier, thriving,
Yes,
really thriving, because
I
I mean, you can see it in a matter of a week or two, how everything
absolutely.
changes. The longer you do it, the more the more you feel alive, the more you feel healthy. If
Yes.
you continuously eat all of this, I mean, I call it plastic and chemicals. It's just
Good
dreadful.
name for it.
It's poison. It's
Yes.
poison.
It is
Yeah.
poison. It is. 80% of what's in the grocery store.
Isn't that terrible? Terrible. It's just
It's pretty bad.
unbelievable. It is, and
Yeah,
it becomes such a chore. It's such a
it is.
chore to have to figure out what to cook, what to make, what to eat, what to purchase to cook.
Yeah.
It really, you really need lessons. We really, and
Yes.
not only lessons and a community, right? You really need a community because you need to
And a
constantly have
community.
conversations about this, right? It has to,
Yes.
there always have to be conversations. And that's what leads me to the next question, because I want to talk about your book, because you have a book, but your book is very special, very different. And it's an applied book. It's not necessarily a workbook, but it's a doing book. Can you explain a little bit about it? Because you do actually have a group that works
Right.
on this regularly.
Right. It's a journal and a vision drawing. So we write, but we also draw. And the reason for that is it's related to neurographic art. And I'm a puzzle person. And when I go on cruises, I'll spend hours doing puzzles. And before I developed this, I was putting puzzles together, sometimes 2, 3 hours, and I would get up and go like to use the bathroom or something. And I get up, and if you're working on a 3,000 piece puzzle, you get up and you kind of move a little bit, and you say,
Right.
"Oh, I know that piece." Boom, and you slam it down.
Yeah.
And then you shift again, and "Oh, I know that piece." Bam, and you slap it down. "Oh, I know that piece." Bam, you slap it down. Well, I did that about 3 times. And the next day, I went back into the stateroom and I was like, "Ma, my brain is helping me. Like, I'm over here looking for this piece, but my brain knows I was looking for that piece." And
Right.
like, all I have to do is like get up and look, and it shows me, and I put it down, and it's the piece. And then I saw this scroll on neurographic art, and the
Yes.
power of words. We see words with our front eyes and our front
Hmm.
brain,
Hmm.
but there's a whole section back here that if we draw things and put
Yes.
emotion and repetition behind what we're trying to do and draw it out, and this is part of my process for my resistance. When I feel resistance, I'll say, I'm going to go draw it out. I'll just go draw it out. Because, we get frustrated. We want to do this, and we're not making progress in this part. And but we want to get through it. That's when you want your process. And so by using this, and I've been using it since February 20th in my Facebook group with my community, by going through that, now when I go in there and look at those pages, my brain right away says, "Yeah, remember that? We did that. Yeah, remember that? We did that." It's like telling the story of from start to finish. And clearly the story is still being written, but it's a process that's really working well, and it's part of my program. It's too good not to share. So yeah,
And
I did the journal. I put it on Amazon, but when I
yes.
made the journal, I wasn't drawing it out yet. I just did a vision board. But
Right.
because of this experience that I've had, that's when I said we're vision drawing. We're going to draw it out, and you can put pictures in there, but
Right.
drawing
Right.
is
Right.
so
Right.
powerful.
Yes.
It's almost like doodling. Remember we would doodle in school for
Yes.
hours?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
form
And
of
it does.
doodling.
Right. And it activates a certain part of your brain when you're
Yes,
doodling.
yes,
I mean, you believe you're doodling unconsciously, but you're really not. You're really activating a certain part of your brain. And I too am a puzzle person, and I like to do puzzles without the picture. I will not look at the picture. I do not use the picture. I have to do it by shape and by color. That's how I like to match everything. And I do them often. I even do them online. And so this idea of drawing it out and using almost, pictures to work through, I found that fascinating. And you do have a group on Facebook, right? That's a private Facebook group that they join
yes.
in, because you also have a group for the Resilience Beyond Menopause. People can actually see the forums if they join, correct? Can you
And
explain a little
it's
bit
free
about
to
the two
join.
groups?
It's free to join both. The Intentional Habits Hub, that's my Facebook group where I do my drawing in there with a community. It started when I was an eating coach, and it was Intentional Eating Hub. But I've shifted it over to Habits Hub because if you're trying to adopt new healthy eating habits, or you're trying to start your online new adventure, or you're making quilts and you want to sell them, whatever it is you're trying to do, this is a way to set that goal, make the path, get clarity, and work through the resistance. Now, the other Facebook group is Resilience Beyond Menopause, and that's the bi-monthly forum. And that's actually the venue for the speakers, as you know, to speak their messages. And it's every other month. And this month, August, will be August the 26th through the 28th. But you're free to join the Facebook group now. You're welcome to join either one of them. And yeah, it's
well, we
fun.
talked a little bit about this before we actually got on the air. First of all, I'm going to put in the description all of your contacts. The audience likes to see, I'll put Jackie's info in, it'll have all these contacts, and if there's a website or any type of social media. But the next thing is, because we record earlier and then your actual episode premiere comes out a couple of weeks later, I actually will put it in the Facebook groups that I have, so that people can realize that they can actually get in the groups ahead of time, because some people may not want to wait till they hear it, right? I believe you're actually speaking the end of September. And I will have the accurate dates out there. But, in order to avoid any issues that people have to wait till December and say, oh, darn, I didn't know about it, I like to at least try to let people know ahead of time. So I will be putting that out there in the Facebook group so people know, even on Instagram, so that people will know that this is something they can join now, because really they can actually go into the menopause resilience in menopause group and get the information from the prior forum, because they're there, correct? So they actually can hear what others have said before.
That's right.
So yeah, because I think
I'm
that's
not
important.
deleting anything. If the speaker takes the video down, then that's the speaker's choice. But yes, and the next one will be October. So after, when this airs in September, the next forum will be in October. I don't have those dates, but it'll be close to the second to the third week in October, around that time.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have that, because I definitely will put that out ahead of time as well, because you never know who's looking to either speak, right? Because they have something to say, or they want to listen because they need to hear something that pertains to them, something that will help them work through things. So I will definitely do that. And now let me ask you, where do you see yourself going from here? You're so busy. I mean, and the thing about it, it's in retirement. This is your next career, because for all intents and purposes, you're retired from the military. But you're still, this is your career. Where do you see yourself going? Because you're already so busy.
Well, as I said, I'm an avid cruiser. I travel a lot. I'm either packing or unpacking, and we got to get on a cruise together. When you said you're a husband, you have so much fun.
Yes, and I've never gone on a cruise. I want to try one, but I've never gone on one. So yeah, so that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. So I'm just going to keep doing this, and like I said when I was in the Navy, especially once I got to the point where I could retire, I said I'll keep doing it until I'm not having fun anymore. Yeah. But I'm having a lot of fun right now, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and kind of follow the flow. I'm just kind of, the creative flow is going, and I like the way it's going.
And so now, do you have a website? Where can people find out, like, your speaking dates or your event dates? Do you have sort of calendar that they can look at?
Yeah, I'm creating a landing page for I'm calling it my speaker tour, kind of like ZZ Top put it on the back of the t-shirts that we bought, for his tour for the year.
It is a speaker tour, right? It is a speaker tour.
Yeah. So I heard that recently, and I said, you know what, that's a good idea. So I'm putting that together. I don't have it yet, but I promise I'll get it to you. Maybe by September it'll be hanging here.
That'll be great. Yes. And then I definitely, I've gone back, because some people have changed things, and I always tell them, don't ever be fearful, because with the channel, I can go back and change information at any time. I like to keep it updated anyway, because why would I not want my guest speakers to have their most current information there for the audience? So I can definitely do that. And so do you have any parting words for anybody as we're talking here? I mean, I know that we've talked about just touching the tip of the iceberg, because you're involved in so many things. And I just want to say one thing about the motivational speaking, because that you do very well. And I want to know, do you have, first of all, words for others that may want to do that? Because you know that that's quite frightening for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, when I was a single mom with 5 children, struggling single mom with 5 children, I, like I said, I had that burning desire buried kind of at that point because we were in survival mode. But to think that I would be here now helping others to speak and share their voice, because I believe everyone has a story. That's my story. But you have your story. And if you have a burning desire to share your story, then that's what you should do. And that's what you can do. And this community that we've been talking about embraces, like, I like helping people who are trying to stand up as a speaker and get their legs stronger. So come check us out and share your voice and your message and your story, because people need to hear it.
Oh, yes. I mean, I always say, yes, you have a right to tell your story, right? You shouldn't let
Yes,
anyone ever hold you back. You have an absolute right to tell your story. And it will indeed find the audience that it has to help. That I have
absolutely.
found, especially doing therapy for many years. Yes, that I found that you will indeed find that audience that really needs to hear it on that day. And
Yeah.
so it's well worth it. And so, any parting words for the audience in general with all that you do?
Well, one thing that throughout all of my life, I've always tried to be kind in my mind to myself, because I really am my best friend. I am my best friend, and you are your best friend. So be kind in your mind with what you say to your best friend. And those are my parting words.
Wonderful words. I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on and speak to the audience. I know you're very busy, and it was a thrill to have you on. Just like I said, we're just only touching the iceberg of the few things that are currently going on. But everybody, I want to tell you, make sure you check out Jackie's information. I will definitely be putting things out there prior to her episode premiere, so that people could be in contact, because it really is important to join in the community, to support one another, and to listen to what everyone has to say. There's so much wonderful information out there, don't you think? I think it's
I
just
think so.
fabulous. I mean, I mean,
Yes.
I'm an advocate for learning something new every day, and I love listening to people speak and picking up different points, things that I might not have known, things that I might have heard, but now I want to anchor in. I think that it's really important. So, Jackie, again, I want to thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll see each other soon. I know we're both busy, but hopefully we'll have to make a plan to actually physically see each other soon.
Yes, we
That would
will.
be
We definitely
wonderful.
will. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I've enjoyed
Oh,
being here.
thank
And thank
you.
you to all your
Thank you. Thank
wonderful
you.
viewers.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. Thank you. I will speak with you soon. Take care.
Okay, bye now.